Hello, welcome to the Lisa Horton Crafts YouTube channel. My name's Claire Newcomb. Happy to be here with you today. Welcome along. Today I thought I would share with you a project where I'm just using the layering stencils of a collection along with some inks and some pastes. I'm actually going to be using the FLORIBUNDA Elements collection. It's A6 in size. There is coordinating embossing folder and dies with this, but I'm not using it today. I just wanted to show you a project where you can just use the layering stencils. You don't necessarily even need to do any ink blending, to be honest with you, but I will be using a little bit of ink and you'll see why a little bit later on. I also wanted to use the pastes. I haven't used the pastes all that much. I use them as little accents here and there, but today I think this project is actually going to show the beauty of the pastes. Now you can see on the side here that I've put the slide of everything I'm using, so I'll just run through that quickly. I'll take it off and then I'll pop it back up at the end of the video. So as I say, I'm using the FLORIBUNDA Elements, so it's an A6 set, just the layering stencils today. To prep the card blank, I've also used the Nested Stitched Torn Squares. It's a lovely set. I really like this one. So simple, but it's so elegant, and it really does work for the project I'm doing today. And also, just as a cute little sentiment, I'm using the Birthday Hugs XL sentiments. It's a set of craft dies, but possibly the newest in the sentiment range from Lisa. We have 3 sentiments. Each are made up of 2 dies, so you actually die cut the word, the detail of the word, and then it gives you a matting layer behind that also. So I'll just be using the hugs today, but the card that I'm making is completely customizable. I'm making a 6x6 inch card, but it can easily be scaled up to an 8x8 card. It can be scaled down to a small mini card. It can easily be changed to any of the rectangular shaped cards also. Now the inks that I'm using today, you'll see here, are all from release 1 actually. So they're Surf's Up, which is lovely blue, Woodland Moss, Sugar Candy, and Juicy Pineapple. I've also paired with each ink. Now they wasn't necessarily designed to be a pair. They were certainly released at different times, but I think hopefully I'll bring out the beauty in each of these and pair it along. As I say, you'll see with the design in a moment, but I'll be using the pearl flash pastes. So alongside the Surf's Up, I'll be using the Sapphire Pearl. So they all just seem like a perfect pairing to me. Woodland Moss, and I'll be using the Emerald Pearl. Along with the Sugar Candy, I'm using the Cherry Red Pearl. And actually I was really surprised with this one. It's a gorgeous colour. Don't be fooled by its name actually. And Juicy Pineapple, I'll be using the Gilded Pearl Crystal. Now, I'll just read you a little bit of what it says about the flash pastes on here. Lisa has told us they're a creamy, magical, colour-shifting pearl paste. They are incredibly bright colours on dark card, but they're stunning pearl shimmer on a white card. You can mix them with pigments. You can so there will be an element of me blending some of the ink into the pearl paste. You can also use Lisa's explosion powders to colour tint them as well. I've done that in other videos. It looks stunning. You can use through stencils. You can use with a spatula. You can even add a small amount of water, make them into a nice consistency paste, and then you'll be able to paint with them also. So that's what Lisa tells us on the side of the pot. So when you get these home, and if you suddenly realise that you've forgotten why you bought them or perhaps what to do with them, there's a little prompt on the side here. Plus you can look and find out on our video channel, YouTube channel, just how they get used as well. So I'm just going to take the slide away so that gives me a little bit more space to work in. Now the key to this card actually working today is my prep. So fingers crossed it all works for me, because I am actually notoriously clumsy when it comes to using pastes. I'm terrible for not letting them dry and being impatient and sort of ruining my project. But so it's all in the preparation today. So I will get the card blank ready. So I'm using a white 6x6 inch card blank. I've used the largest die from the Torn Squares set as my base layer. So I will construct this as I go along. Okay, so we're using Lisa's glue. The next thing, I've used the third smallest die cut from the stitched Torn Squares set to die cut different colours of cardstock, all textured cardstock. I quite like the look this has given me. And I'm going to layer those into the centre of the card like so. Now what I've done, I've already added a piece of double-sided tape. That's to allow me to add my final section onto the top like so. This final section with the cream, this is what I'll be stenciling onto. So my thought is, having the adhesive on there already, I can literally layer that on there and hopefully not smudge my paste when I get to that. That's the plan anyway. Obviously, if you're making this at home, you'll have all the time in the world to allow your squares to dry and place them and adhere them to your card when they're dry without any worry about smudging them, of course. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to attach these squares now. I've already put these on foam pads. I've added a little bit of dimension to the card by adding these ones onto 3D foam. So it's a really nice take on a layered card, and this actually can be used for absolutely anything. This is a really nice format. Now you could, instead of stenciling your embellishments to go on top of each of these squares, you could stamp them, you can stencil them and just add them straight on. You can put these in a different format. It would look really nice if you made a DL card out of these, and instead of making all your, or arranging all these squares into like a window frame like I'm doing here, you could just put them in a line along your DL card. I think that would look really nice as well. And then do your extra mats and layers. Obviously, Lisa has some DL sets which would be perfect for that. So you can see that's the card put together. I mean, say the basic layout of the card is really quite straightforward. And then, as I say, I've got a simple sentiment that is also on foam squares that I will just add to the centre there. But say the sentiment can be added and adapted to whatever you have in your stash, or whatever occasion you are giving the card for. So now I need to stencil my flowers onto each of these cards. Now you can see why I've chosen each of the colours. So I've obviously got the blue for the Surf's Up, Woodland Moss for the green, the Sugar Candy for the pink, and the Juicy Pineapple for the yellow section. So you can see my thinking there. Now I've already pre-die cut these, obviously, to show you, and it makes it a lot easier for me to finish the constructed card. And because I'm working on such a small piece of cardstock now, I'm actually using my tacky mat to make sure that this stays in place when I'm adding my paste and my stencil. This will make life an awful lot easier. If I had all the time in the world, I, to be honest, would probably do the stenciling and the paste on a larger piece of cardstock, allow it to dry, and then I'd die cut it afterwards. I think that would probably be my preference. But I'm going to go with it for now and say hopefully all my prep will allow this to go quite smoothly. Okay, so let's take the lids off my inks. Now, when it comes to the Floribunda Elements set, so we have the layering stencils in here, and what this does, it allows you to stencil each of these elements individually if you wanted to, and then put them together and arrange them in the vase. There's been other videos made on this set where it's actually constructing the card in the way that this set was designed for. So if you want to go and find those, then they'd definitely be worth a watch. But today I'm creating something a little bit different. I'm just interested in one of these elements. So with that in mind, I should take the stencils out. And because I won't be stenciling every element, there's only a couple of these stencils that I'll be using. So you can see as I flick through these stencils, let me just move that to one side. As I flick through these stencils, not every stencil has an element for each of these designs on it. So they really are customizable. Okay, so this one really has only got the leaves, say, in the background, you can see there. So it does mean that you can cherry pick the designs that you want to stencil, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So I don't need stencils 3 onwards. There's 6 stencils and I don't need those last 4. Oh, the sun's coming out, playing havoc with my lights. There we are. As much as I love the sun, I want to see it, it can create some problems with my lighting. Okay, so as I say, all that I'm interested in today is this flower here, which relates to this gorgeous little flower here, which I think is just going to be perfect and really cute to layer up onto the card. Ooh. So I'm going to do each flower, colour flower individually. I can use my peg system on the ulti-mate, and I can line up my little torn square die cut underneath that, knowing that my tacky mat will actually keep that in place for me. If you don't have a tacky mat, then of course you can either, as I say, use a larger piece of card, something that you're happier with, or if you do want to do it this way around, you could just tape this down using a tiny bit of washi tape. That would work also. So I'm using Surf's Up to start with. Now I don't want to go bold blue, but I do want to have a nice blue base. So I've picked up a little bit of ink and I'm just going to work and just create a nice little blue base that my paste will sit on. Now I'm going to put a little bit more just at the bottom of the flower, like so, just to create a little bit of shading, because, well, why not? So just a tiny little bit more ink at the bottom there. So I'm going to take that stencil away. There we are. Bring in stencil 2. So this will add the petal detail to the flower. Now you don't necessarily, well, it's up to you really. You don't have to go too mad with putting too much ink on at this stage, because we will be covering this with the paste. But what I did want to do is just have a bit of ink on that stencil material, because I'll show you why in a second. Right, we're bringing in the paste now. Now remember what I said, what Lisa has mentioned on each of the pots here, that they can be mixed with pigments. Now what I want to do, I don't know if you can just about see that blue hue in there, which is gorgeous, lovely pearl colour. What I want to do is pick up some of this blue ink and put that into the paste as I spread. I'm not really bothered by how much I add or how little I add, or if it comes in smooth or adds a streak. I think that will just add to the detail of what I'm doing. So I've picked up an element, well, I don't know, probably just 2 peas worth size of paste there. So a bit trial and error, you'll get to know how much you need to use. I'm using it onto a palette knife here. I prefer using a metal palette knife. And I'm just going to spread that across the flower like butter. And I'm hoping to pick up some of that ink that I've left on the stencil also, because that will slightly colour tint the paste for me and add a nice little bit of detail. So I've got a nice smooth swipe of paste over there. I've got a jar of water next to me because obviously I'm going to need to clean up between each colour as I go. So that's my first little flower done. You can see the ink underneath, and just by putting that extra bit of ink underneath the flower on this side, it gives that element of shadow, doesn't it? So I think that is absolutely gorgeous. And as that dries, you will see that blue hue of the pearl paste really come out. So what I'm going to do now, this is my thinking, I've got this all primed ready for me to add onto, so I can literally layer that onto my blue layer like so. I might just use poke tool just in the middle, and I can leave that to dry on one side and put that there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is exactly the same with each of the other colours. So it's a really nice way for you to see the pearl pastes, because you get a really good idea of the colour of them that way. So I'm just going to clean up my stencils and my palette knife as I go. So I'm hoping this will be nice and straightforward. Right, I perhaps should have used a paper towel. Okay. So, flower number 2. We've done the blue. So back onto my second little flower. Again, line. Let's lift that. There we go. Line that up. So Woodland Moss this time. I'm going to do exactly the same. Put a nice layer of the colour as the base. And just concentrate a little bit more ink on the bottom edge here. If you try and keep doesn't matter where you put it, but try and keep it the same on each of the flowers. I think that'd just be a really nice touch. So we could have layered the colour like that. And I think actually what I might do, there we are, be efficient, clean that as we go. There we are. Then we can come in with stencil 2. Again, just lay down a bit of colour. Now this step isn't necessarily required. You could just stencil this, stencil the paste through this if you want the colour of the paste purely just to shine through. Okay, oh, let's put that away. Let's be organised and sensible. There we are, let's put that one on there. So this one is the Emerald Pearl. And if I show you that, you can just see it's real. It's a minty green hue, but obviously depending on what surface you stencil that onto, it's going to look gorgeous. So again, I'm just going to pick up a little blob. So it's almost butter consistency, but it's light like a mousse. It's actually really lovely to use. And I can see on this one that it has picked up some of the ink as it's gone into the flower there. And that looks really cute. I like that. So put the excess back into the pot, which I didn't do with the blue, did I? Put the lid on. There we are. We're in the flow of it now. There we go. So I can take that one away. And you can see that flower. And you can see just here on this petal, actually, just where I've brought in some of the ink off of the stencil. I think that's just a really nice touch. So depending on how much ink you've used or the sort of the circumstances, you get a really nice technique, almost a marbled effect, I think. So it might be worth really playing with that and thinking about it with your other floral stencils. So I'll just make sure that that is pushed down in the centre there, like so. You can see how that's sort of building up, and it's a really nice way actually to swatch out your pearl pastes as well. Okay, now I think what I might do this time, don't really want to waste any of our product, do we? So bear with me. I'm going to take that out from the stencil material like so, put that back into my pot. There we are. Pop the knife into water, and then I can clean that with a bit of paper towel. There we go. That's a better system, isn't it? And now I can wipe that with my microfiber cloth, and I'm ready for the next colour. So it's actually really easy to clean off your stencils there. So next colour, my little piece of card, pop that onto the pegs there. This time I'm going with the pink, which is the Sugar Candy. It's a smaller brush, don't need to use a big brush. So this is a Sugar Candy, actually is always a lot brighter than I realise. It's a real stunning colour, real lovely pink. You can make it as bold as you want, but you can actually go really pastel with it. So I'm just going to create my little bit of shadow on this side. You could do this all the way around, actually, the shadow. That would look really lovely, but I quite like the idea of it just being on one section of the flower like that. See that lovely shading going on there? So we come in with stencil number 2. We'll just enhance that shading a little bit more with the petal detail. Let's add a little bit more colour there. This is a lovely little flower. Now you could actually do this project as well without using the pastes. You could stencil them, then you could go through and emboss each of the flowers individually if you have the die and the embossing folder, and that would also look lovely in this configuration too. Actually, so I need to put my stencil back on there. Then we come in with the Cherry Red Pearl. Now I was expecting this to be really bright when I opened it. I don't know why, but it's a real gorgeous soft pink. So pretty. I am actually quite a convert, so I don't usually use these sort of pastes very often. But Lisa has this habit of converting me to things that I didn't think I ever needed. Okay, so take a tiny bit out from there again. Oh, probably too much. And I'm going to try and make sure I use some of this ink as well. And just move that across. We get a nice even spread. There we are. Put the excess back in. Lift the stencil, so I will take the excess from there. It's not much, but it just makes it easier to clean in between each time. Okay, And I know I've got a little bit of ink of that I'm putting back in there, but I'm not fussed about that at all. It's colour toned, so it's not really going to make too much of a change when I use that on the next project. So I can clean my stencil. And take off the excess there. I can pick that up and add that onto my pink layer as I go. So far, so good, she says. Okay. Give that a quick wipe. Okay, I'm just using my microfiber cloth in between just to make sure that that's dry. It's always such a handy thing to have next to you. I try not to keep mine on the floor or within reach because my little dog usually runs off with them, and she's ever so pleased with herself when she does it. Her tail goes all perky as she runs off in the distance. I can tell she's got something, or tell she's up to no good. If she holds her tail in a certain way when she runs off. Okay, so the last flower. This is Juicy Pineapple. Oh, there you are, you hear in the distance. She's never far away. Okay, so even with the yellow, you are still able to get this graduated and layered effect with the ink. I mean, you can go from a real lovely lemon pale yellow to a real dark, vibrant sunshine yellow from this Juicy Pineapple. Okay, and you can just see that the shading's sitting there. So stencil number 2, again, exactly the same things I've done with the other colours. Now this time I'll be using the Gilded Pearl crystal. We don't have a yellow as such. There is a gold crystal paste, but you'll see when I open this one, okay, that this exactly the same consistency and finish, the pearlized finish, as all the other the 3 other pastes that I've just used, but this can actually be tinted to be any colour because of its pale nature. You can put any colour in this and you'll have a pinky pearl colour, or depending on the explosion powder or whatever pigment you put into this, and say you'd be able to colour tint this more so than the other one, but experiment with the other colours as well. I mean, you get so much paste in here and it will go such a long way that you really can get an awful lot of lovely effects. So I'm hoping when I take this across, you'll get a nice swipe of that yellow pigment ink in there also. Right, again, there we go, and I'll just get that bit at the bottom there, and oh, there we go. Oh, there, I can see that the yellow's taken just there actually. So let's take that up. Yeah, that's really taken on that yellow colour actually from the ink. And to say, if I was using this over any of the other ink colours, I think it would actually tint that really nicely. Particularly if you're just taking like a swipe over like I've been doing, it would end up with being a real nice marbled effect. So it's definitely worth experimenting with. Okay, so I will clean and tidy as I go. So this is the last one. And you can see the confidence that I have in the tacky mat here. It really does mean that such a small piece of cardstock, I've got complete confidence that that isn't going anywhere. It would be made trickier if I wasn't using it as such. As I say, I think I would have to make more effort to actually keep that taped down. but I know that this say to the tacky mat, which it's not necessarily sticky when you feel it, but it's got a cling to it that just means that the cardstock doesn't go anywhere. So I'm just going to give that a quick wipe now and lift that away. So I can move my ulti-mate out the way now because that's my stenciling done. Bring my card in. And take off that last piece of tape. There we are. Now you'll notice that each of these flowers doesn't have a centre to them. Now what you could do if you wanted, you could have actually used the next stencil. Let me just check. Yes, you could have actually used stencil number 3, and you can see here that you would have been able to, can you see? Oh yeah. You can see here that you would have been able to actually stencil the centre of the flower in if you wanted to. So I've just gone with the first 2 stencils. If you wanted to do this and stencil the centre of the flower, either a different colour or the same colour, then you could have used stencil number 3 and you would have been able to do that. But I had a different plan. I had some pearls left over, these gorgeous pearlescent looking pearls that Lisa bought to us a good while ago now, actually. As I say, I'm quite frugal with these sort of things, so I like to wait until I have a special occasion to use them. I'm not ever sure what that special occasion will ever be, but today just seemed the right time to use them. So what I'm going to do, just with Lisa's glue, very gently, I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the centre of each of these flowers, like that. And I've already selected the gems. Unfortunately, and I think this must be why subconsciously I thought that this would be a good idea, there is one that will suit every colour. So I'm just going to turn those over. I've already selected them. And with my pretty pickup tool, I'm just going to put the centre of the flowers in to the corresponding flower, so like so, and they actually finish them off perfectly, and they do have a pearlescent finish, so they really will look beautiful with the pastes, the flash pastes there. Now you'll just have to excuse the white glue possibly that you can see around the outside at the moment. That will obviously dry clear. So you can see how gorgeous that's come together, and just look how lovely those flash pastes look. It's a real nice swatch sample, if you know, to actually get to see those pastes in their full beauty and make a card at the same time. You may find that you just make this for your own personal use, just to remember what each of the pastes look like. Actually, it might be a nice idea to, if you do have the die set, do this, die cut the flowers out and pop them on top of your paste pots, actually, and that will give you a really lovely reminder of what is actually inside the pot, won't it? That might be a nice idea. So I'm just going to pop the sentiment on there just to finish that card off, and then I can pop that somewhere and allow those pastes to dry. So it's a really, really simple card, really effective card though. I think it's it shows off all of Lisa's products beautifully, and it's only using the layering stencils and a nesting die set. So I shall just pop up the slide for you there to show you everything that we've used. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed that, and hope you give it a go. If you do, so let me know, and if you do decide to actually use them as swatches for on top of your flash paste pot, then take a picture and let me see, because I'm sure it just look fabulous sitting on your shelf as a reminder, and actually it would entice you to use them more, wouldn't it? Thanks so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed making that. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications button. That way you will always be sent a message every time we upload a new video, and we don't want you to miss out on anything. So thanks for watching, and see you all again soon.